Hi, I'm Ella DeWester, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about public opinion on raising the federal minimum wage. I will show you what people think about raising the federal minimum wage to different amounts, if they believe the current minimum wage is enough to live off of, and what kind of policy would make the most sense based on the data. All of the data mentioned in this video is from a survey by Data for Progress conducted from April 19th to the 22nd of 2024. The sample of people for this survey is 1,265. This first slide shows the support for the minimum wage being raised to $9 an hour. As you can see, the net support for this option is 26.2%, which will be the highest of the three that I'm going to show you. Additionally, the support total is 31.4%, while the opposed total is 5.2%. To get into some more detail, the net support from different groups are as follows: 83% support from Democrats, 69% support from independent and third parties, 60% support from Republicans, 74% support from women, 68% support from men, 62% support from people under 45, 76% support from people over 45, 76% support from non-college educated people, 61% support from college-educated people, 75% support from white people, 60% support from Latino people, 76% support from swing states, 76% support from people in urban areas, 65% support from people in suburban areas, and 74% support from people in rural areas. This next slide shows the support for the federal minimum wage being raised to $12 an hour. The net support for this option is 25.2%, which is less than the previous option, but will be more than the next option. Additionally, the support total is 31.2%, while the opposed total is 6%. To once again get into some more specifics about this data, the net support from different groups are as follows: 92% support from Democrats, 56% support from independent and third-party members, 52% support from Republicans, 75% support from women, 59% support from men, 74% support from people under 45, 65% support from people over 45, 72% support from non-college educated people, 62% support from college-educated people, 64% support from white people, 78% support from swing states, and 71% support from people in rural areas. This slide shows the support for the final option of the minimum wage being raised to $17 an hour. The net support for this option is the lowest that we've covered so far, at 13.5%. The total support for this option is 27.9%, while the opposed total for this option is 14.4%. To get into some further detail, the net support from different groups are as follows: 74% support from Democrats, 33% support from independent and third-party members, -6% support from Republicans, 42% support from women, 19% support from men, 49% support from people under 45, 21% support from people over 45, 39% support from people who are non-college educated, 18% support from people who are college educated, 20% support from people who are white, 27% support from swing states, 56% support from people who live in urban areas, 20% from people who live in suburban areas, and 18% support from people who live in rural areas. This slide shows us some different data about the public opinion of if the current minimum wage is enough for a decent quality of life. As you can see, all of these groups overwhelmingly agree that the current minimum wage is not nearly enough for a decent quality of life. To get into some more specifics, women, people over 45, Democrats, and non-college educated people specifically really agree that the current minimum wage is not enough, even more so than groups like Republicans, men, people under 45, and those who are college educated. The following is a policy proposal that I think would work best based on the previous charts and graphs. Essentially, the policy I'm recommending is to raise the federal minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $9 an hour. This would be the new nationwide starting wage for workers across the country. After it goes up to $9, the wage would keep increasing a little bit each year depending on how much the cost of living goes up. The goal is to make sure the wage doesn't stay the same for too long, like it has for the past 15 years. Raising it a little every year would help it to stay more up to date. I chose $9 specifically because it was the most popular option in the data shown. If the federal minimum wage is raised to $9 an hour, it could make a big difference for millions of Americans who work low-paying jobs. Right now, many of those workers struggle to pay for basic needs like rent, groceries, gas, and healthcare. Even small things like buying school supplies or saving a little money can be hard. Raising the wage would help those workers afford more of what they need and can make their daily lives less stressful. This change could also help reduce poverty, especially for families that are working full-time but still don't earn enough to get by. With more income, people might not have to work multiple jobs or rely as much on government help like food stamps. At the same time, raising the wage slowly instead of all at once would give small businesses time to adjust. They'd be able to plan for the changes, raise prices gradually if needed, or find ways to manage their budgets. That's one reason why a $9 starting point makes sense. It's high enough to help workers, but not so high that it would shock the economy. Another important thing is that this plan has a strong public support based on the data. So, even if some members of Congress disagree or argue about it, knowing that a majority of Americans are in favor could help push the policy forward. It's a realistic and balanced step that could benefit both workers and the economy in the long run. Overall, this plan reflects what most people want and offers a simple solution that can move us in the right direction.